exclusive edition of the RCWR show. We're covering the fallout from tonight's WWE Raw, where Brock Lesnar, Triple H, Vince McMahon all made their returns. And we had a main event match between CM Punk and John Cena, where the winner goes on to face WWE Champion The Rock for that title. Everything that you might have missed from tonight's WWE Raw full match breakdown analysis is everything you've come to expect on our 30-minute plus show. It's the RCWR show YouTube exclusive covering WWE Raw, and it begins right now.
The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Welcoming you to this YouTube exclusive edition of the RCWR show. I am your host, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Thank you all, especially our YouTube subscribers, potential new YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much for checking out this episode coming at you on February 25th, 2013. The road to WrestleMania continues on, as tonight it takes a little bit of a curve into Dallas, Texas was the venue tonight, where we had got presented with a pretty fantastic edition of Raw. Let's talk about the first opening, probably one of the most explosive openings of Raw that I have seen in quite some time, as we had the WWE Chairman, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, come on out, two crutches and all, ready for a fight with Paul Heyman. Remember here, the Chairman is just 3 weeks removed from having hip replacement surgery after getting that devastating F5 by the Beast, Brock Lesnar. Well, the WWE Chairman, crutches and all, dressed in business attire. Not the usual type of events we see to come on down for a fight, not wearing his trademark fighting clothes, but he calls out Paul Heyman. Heyman feeling ever so cocky, a little bit too arrogant tonight, as he tells the WWE Chairman to not take this ass beating that he was about to get too personally, that he has everything coming to him and that he's been waiting for this moment for a very long time. You would think that Paul Heyman would be willing to take on Vince McMahon mano a mano, wait for the referee to ring the bell, what have you. That wasn't even the case, folks. We saw Paul Heyman do what any true badass heel would do. And he hit McMahon where it counted the most. He got him low as he clipped him between the legs and then proceeded to beat up the WWE Chairman with his own crutch. That's right, folks, hitting Vince McMahon over the back with that crutch repeatedly. Going in for another strike, he was, when Vince McMahon finally grabbed the crutch, snatched it away from him, and then proceeded to hit him with it. And just when Vince McMahon was starting to warm up and really started having fun, just letting loose, we hear the music of the Beast. F5, here comes the pain. Brock Lesnar. Lesnar looking ripped, looking phenomenally in shape. Comes down to the ring, stares face to face with the Chairman. And you are just saying to yourself, me, oh my. We are about to get a repeat of what went down 3 weeks ago. Another F5 is in the future of Big Daddy Vince, when suddenly we hear that classic Motorhead music with Lenny on the vocal saying, time to play the game. And folks, it was time to play the game. We had not seen this man since the fallout from SummerSlam last year. Folks, we finally got to see him in all his glory. First time really seeing him on WWE Raw with his new haircut. It was the King of Kings, the Cerebral Assassin, the Game, Triple H, who made his eagerly anticipated return. He confronted Brock Lesnar. It was an all-out brawl. It was one that just was fun to kick back and watch as you just saw these two guys go at it on the outside of the ring. Critical point, we see Triple H just Irish whip Lesnar into the steel post. This was a legitimate hit too. This was not a blade job, folks. Brock Lesnar's head made instant impact, and his head just busted open, just oozing with blood all over the place. We would later find out that it would take 18 stitches to heal up Brock Lesnar's head, or to close it up rather. His head has only begun to heal. It's probably going to at least take him a week to have that bad boy close up properly. But nice all-out brawl that we saw between these two guys. Triple H really bringing it to him. Brock Lesnar, he did have the upper hand at one point. Did a body slam to Triple H through the announcer's table. Tried to drag him back inside the ring. Took a steel chair. Was getting ready to connect with it when Triple H countered with a classic double-A spine buster. A little bit of vintage Triple H. And then proceeded to hit Lesnar with that steel chair across the back to send Lesnar flying out the ring, looking on but smiling, as he loved that little exchange that he had with the game. Game, set, go. We are now on Brock Lesnar, Triple H 2. It's going to be going down at WrestleMania. Hey, I know some folks may not be too keen on seeing this matchup, but as far as I'm concerned, it's something new that is going to be happening at WrestleMania. I am all for it. Let's talk about some of the other action that had took place on tonight's WWE Raw. Match-wise, we saw a phenomenal match between Dolph Ziggler and Ryback. You just can't help but feel a little bit bad for Dolph Ziggler right here, because for a guy that has that Money in the Bank briefcase, he just really has not been looking strong. You wonder at this point, is Dolph Ziggler even going to be on the WrestleMania card? Now, I've already gone on record, folks, and have said over the past couple of weeks that I expect him to cash in that briefcase at WrestleMania 29. But man, talk about the lack of a proper build-up right here. We saw Dolph Ziggler get squashed big time by Ryback. Just a clean victory. Ryback was able to get over him despite a little bit of interference from AJ and Big E Langston. Finally, we actually saw Big E Langston and Ryback get a little physical right here. Maybe a prelude of things to come. I personally wouldn't mind seeing Ryback and Big E Langston maybe get it on in a YouTube pre-show match at this year's WrestleMania. CM Punk had graced the WWE Universe by cutting one very interesting promo saying that his match, which was the main event match against John Cena, is not about Cena. It's not even about The Rock. It's not even about the WWE Championship. It's not even about the fact that he was one of the longest reigning champions in WWE history. And it damn sure isn't about WrestleMania. It's not even about the WWE Universe. What it is all about is him, CM Punk. It's all about him proving that once and for all, he is a man that is unlike any other. He is not a superstar. He is a icon. He is one that is of legendary status. He is a man that is so beyond man, folks. He is just simply God. And you just hear those chilling words, and for me personally, I was automatically thinking back to the little bit of stuff that Ric Flair was doing in a certain company, calling himself God. I couldn't help but kind of think that a little bit, and I was actually kind of wondering, where was Ric Flair to come on out and call him on that? But CM Punk, ever so arrogant and confident, going into his main event match against John Cena, where the winner takes on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for that WWE title. It was a very monumental moment on Raw tonight, as I'm sure many of you had heard the announcement earlier today. And truly, when I think about celebrities that have had association with the WWE over the years, none other really jumps out in my mind than one Donald J. Trump. That's right, folks. Donald Trump has been announced as the new inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2013. It's all going to be going down the night before WrestleMania 29. Now, before some of you may bash on this selection, let's just really make sure that those of you know your homework. Now, we've heard many of you criticize the WWE for reaching out to celebrities that have no affiliation with wrestling, haven't even done anything with the WWE, and they're getting all this proper spotlight. Donald Trump is definitely deserving of this. Now, let's not forget, folks, it was Donald Trump who gave WWE great success when he had the event hosted at his Caesar Resort, if I'm not mistaken, back for WrestleMania 4 and WrestleMania 5. Both times they went there. And see, this is the thing that you guys gotta realize. Trump Plaza, it was the place that had hosted WrestleMania 4 and 5, 1988 and 1989. Something to this very day has never happened in WrestleMania history, as when you look back in WrestleMania history, that was the only time where WrestleMania came to the same venue twice, year after year. So he had great success in that. And let's not forget, when it came down to WrestleMania 4, who could forget the main event there, where we had one of the tournament final matches for the vacant WWF Championship, as Randy Savage, the Macho Man, had defeated Ted DiBiase. Remember that one, folks? Or how about WrestleMania 5, where the main event of that one was Hulk Hogan defeating Macho Man Randy Savage for the WWF Championship. Donald Trump, no stranger right there. Of course, let's not forget, years later, Donald Trump, he would have something to do with WrestleMania 23, where he physically had got involved in the Battle of the Billionaires. That was one of my favorite moments right there. I still remember vividly how Bobby Lashley was associated with Donald Trump, as Trump had made him be his guy. And I just remember how Donald Trump could not remember Bobby Lashley's last name for nothing. He was just going, man, my guy, Leslie. True. It's very true. If you go backtrack in the archive section, I know they probably have it somewhere on YouTube. He was actually calling Bobby Lashley Leslie. It was hilarious stuff. And Vince McMahon, he had went with Umaga, who at the time was just this unstoppable freaking beast. Had a great mouthpiece in Armando Estrada. Great stuff right there. Donald Trump, no stranger to WWE, and quite honestly, you can't just come through the New Jersey, New York area for this Hall of Fame ceremony, which includes Trish Stratus, Mr. Bob Backlund, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mick Foley, Bruno Sammartino, and not have Donald Trump be a part of that package. Now, we're hearing the rumblings that the Madison Square Garden could get its own WWE Hall of Fame induction too, and I actually would be totally fine with that. But Donald Trump, he definitely has earned his spot into this year's Hall of Fame. My hat's off to him. Truly one of those guys that's actually been friends with Vince McMahon for a lot of years. Has always tried to give McMahon great advice. And really, he's always rooted on for WWE. He's always been a fan of the sport, hands down. So my hat's off to WWE for giving that induction to Mr. Donald Trump. I mean, the guy's done it all. I mean, he's a freaking billionaire. He is a TV personality. He is a author. Everything that man touches is just golden. It's ridiculous, folks. Other matches we saw on tonight's WWE Raw included Mark Henry defeating Great Khali in a squash match. That was like about 2 minutes long. It was really about Mark Henry getting the world's strongest slam in there on Great Khali, proving his brute strength. Miz TV segment, one of the most heated and most interesting segments of the night. Miz had hosted Alberto Del Rio, Zeb Coulter, Ricardo Rodriguez, and the World Heavyweight Champion Alberto Del Rio, right along with Jack Swagger in there. This was a very intense exchange of words right here. Now, Zeb Coulter, he actually took a shot at Glenn Beck. Of course, as you all know, Glenn Beck, he turned down WWE's invitation to appear on Raw tonight. And Zeb Coulter, he took a quick shot at him, basically calling him a coward for not wanting to come to Raw that night. Now, in a follow-up story, turns out WWE crew is actually going to be going to the set of Glenn Beck to try to see if they can get a direct answer from him. That should be very interesting. We should learn a little bit more about that as it becomes available. I know they're going to be doing that sometime this week. For the very latest on that, we'll definitely keep you posted. Just hop on over to our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. We can also hook you up at our Facebook page at Infinity One Productions as well for the very latest in that. But damn good promos that we saw right here, as it was really about Zeb Coulter grilling into Alberto Del Rio, saying why he does not like his people, why he does not like immigrants. Once again, furthering along that storyline of it being immigrants who are just crossing over to this country illegally and are just snatching up the jobs for little to no pay, taking the health care, taking the Medicare, just stealing jobs away from Americans. And then once they become successful in this country, they go back to their home country and just leave us Americans hanging. And Del Rio, he was very passionate as he grilled into Zeb Coulter, saying America was founded by immigrants and that everybody believes in the American dream of working hard and being able to succeed and live big, and that he and his people and everybody in this country has not done anything wrong. They are not illegal immigrants, and very intense words right here. But the one thing that had definitely stood out in my mind, which we will be going more in depth this Tuesday night on the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern, is the fact that it looks like for now Jack Swagger is going to be WrestleMania bound, as it looks like his spot is not going to be yanked away just yet, despite having a little bit of trouble with the law last week after the SmackDown tapings, where he was pulled over by a police officer for speeding, and then as later he would find out, the cop that is, Jack Swagger was in possession of marijuana and he was driving while intoxicated. Now Jack Swagger is supposed to be going to court March 12th. All the charges that he faces are misdemeanors. He could face a 90-day suspension with his driver's license being removed for that length of time. He could be paying fines totaling up to about $1,000, but maybe he could do a little bit of counseling, community service work, maybe take a couple of classes, who knows. But we'll definitely be paying very more close attention to that and let you guys know what happens as more information becomes available. But to see the promo right here between Jack Swagger, Zeb, Alberto Del Rio, just furthering along this storyline here, and just what little Jack Swagger had said at the end, but it made a huge impact. See you at WrestleMania. That just lets you know Swagger's going to be there. Very interesting development right there. Other matches, we saw Randy Orton defeat Antonio Cesaro. Sheamus has snubbed the Oscars while continuing to bash Wade Barrett. And the way this is looking right now, it could go either way. It could be Sheamus versus Wade Barrett at WrestleMania, or it could be Sheamus versus Wade Barrett on a future episode of Main Event. Not really sure what direction this is going to be going in right here, but Sheamus did a brilliant job of taking a shot at Wade Barrett, talking about that new movie, Dead Man Walking, where Wade Barrett doesn't even say a word. Sheamus just continuing to grill into him more about that. Wade Barrett did not like it. He did not think too fondly of it as he confronted Sheamus. And things had got a little heated, almost physical, as Wade Barrett tried to look for a clothesline, but Sheamus had dodged it. Sheamus looked for the bro kick, but Wade Barrett was able to escape the ring in time. Definitely a taste, a good taste at that, of things to come. I definitely want to see those two guys lock it up. R-Truth had defeated Cody Rhodes. Jack Swagger had defeated The Miz. Now, if you don't have that WWE Raw Active app, you are missing out, because during one of the commercial breaks on Raw Active, we were able to see Miz get spoken to. He had a word or two with Zeb Coulter. Very interesting stuff right here. Zeb Coulter had told Miz he did not appreciate his journalistic skills and his bias during that segment, as he felt he did him and Jack Swagger wrong, and Miz felt he didn't do anything, and Jack Swagger just attacked Miz from behind, and this perfectly had set up the match that we had got between these two guys. This was definitely one of my most favorite matches of the night. Somewhat of a 4-star quality type of match right here. We saw Jack Swagger actually defeat The Miz via submission. So the Angry American continues his streak. And remember, Angry American, you heard it from me first. I've been calling him that for about 2 weeks now, okay? So that's mine. I don't care what anybody else says. Angry American, that's all me, baby. Alright, and in our main event match, it was CM Punk taking on John Cena. Winner goes on to WrestleMania. This was a nail-biting match. This was a match that just kept going back and forth. It was one of those type of matches you were just screaming at the TV every single time you thought John Cena had it. Every single time you thought CM Punk had it. You just were not sure which way it was going to go. And man, at the end of the night, a 5-star quality match at that. It would be John Cena, the C-Nation leader, the leader of Thugonomics, the doctor of Thugonomics, hustle, loyalty, respect, oh yeah. That would finally, when it counted the most, he was able to get a big win over CM Punk, something that he was not able to do in the previous year. All those times that he was locking it up with CM Punk there, he finally got the job done. So it is official. It will be John Cena taking on Dwayne The Rock Johnson at WrestleMania 29 for the WWE Championship. Now, for those wondering, as we know, we had a couple of people that thought Undertaker was going to be returning. We had a few people that were under the impression that Undertaker was going to interfere in the CM Punk versus John Cena match. Sorry to disappoint you, especially that one kid out there that made that little video and was on a tirade. Sorry, kid, it did not happen. It looks like at this point, the proper setup right now is going to be to have CM Punk come out moaning, pissing, bitching next week about how he felt he got screwed, and I think that will probably be the way we will get Undertaker, is that he'll interrupt him during that promo to let him know that he hasn't truly beaten everybody. He's not exactly of legendary status just yet because he hasn't gone through him. So look for The Undertaker to return next week on Raw. I feel it in my bones. I'm calling it right now. But with regards to what we got here for Raw tonight, this was definitely a solid episode, as WWE, they just continue to put out great episodes leading up into WrestleMania. And let's not forget, for you guys that did not watch Raw tonight, you definitely want to make sure you set your DVRs. WWE Raw is going old school next week for the entire 3 hours. Now, if you remember how they did things on the last old school special last year, then you know what you can expect is going to be a really nice throwback episode. And I truly feel we're going to see a lot of cool things happen on that episode. But make no mistake, Undertaker's definitely going to be popping up Of course, it would not surprise me if we see Triple H come back next week to talk about the ass beating that he gave Brock Lesnar tonight. A lot to look forward to right here. Of course, also next week, John Cena, he's probably going to begin cutting promos on The Rock. And before I forget, we did see a little bit of the Shield tonight, for those of you that are wondering, as Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, they briefly had addressed the great success that they've been having in WWE as of late, and how they have just been destroying the competition that has continued to be put in front of them, and challenged anybody that thinks they can take them on to bring their best A game. Well, we actually saw Sheamus come out, and he had challenged them from the top of the ramp. We actually saw Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, they left the ring to try to go take on Sheamus, but this left Seth Rollins. I believe I had my names mixed up there. Forgive me, folks. It was actually Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns that went to go see Sheamus, leaving Seth Rollins in the ring, while Randy Orton came from behind, attacked Rollins, gave him a devastating RKO, quickly left, Sheamus left, they got duped. So it should be very interesting to see how the Shield tries to rebound. If not later this week on SmackDown, then definitely next week on WWE Raw. But that almost slipped my mind. I'm glad I was still on the air here doing this episode for you guys. But that's going to do it. Raw was actually a pretty damn good show tonight. Biggest takeaway, Brock Lesnar, Triple H getting it on, nice and bloody, just the way I like it. And then you have the Zeb Coulter, Jack Swagger, Alberto Del Rio segment there. I mean, that was just intense right there in itself. Then you had what the Shield was doing there with Randy Orton, Sheamus. Great 5-star quality type of match with CM Punk, John Cena. You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear this was almost like an episode of Raw from the Attitude Era. Just almost. I mean, it was such a good episode, and I can't wait to see how they're going to do with this old school episode next week. But that's going to do it for your WWE Raw recap, folks. Hey, if you ended up watching Raw tonight, I definitely want to hear what you all had thought of it. And what you can do, you can kick on back, you can leave your comments down below. And if you enjoyed the way we had recapped the show for you all just now, and hey, maybe you might end up backtracking, checking out some of the earlier content that is on our channel, and you like it, well, do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss out, as we post a lot of exclusives on here for our YouTube subscribers, our YouTube audience. We don't just do a little bit of audio, as you'll see on our channel. I actually get in front of a webcam from time to time, and I'll say what's on my mind, and usually I have a lot of good stuff to say. Join us this Tuesday night for the RCWR show. It's our Wrestling Report edition. Join myself and Diamond K. We're going to go more in depth about key points from tonight's Raw, and we're also going to bring up that one important question that's on a lot of people's minds after seeing the footage of Undertaker wrestling at a live house show over the weekend. Should Undertaker be coming back? Should he really be sitting it out? We kind of went a little bit in depth last week, but with the current picture and videos that's floating around of The Undertaker, who looks to be in pretty bad shape, and we're hearing that he's really banged up, should he really be taking part in this year's WrestleMania? And you know what? We'll actually read some of your comments on the air, so if you're still listening right now and you're hearing this part, you can definitely chime in your thoughts about Undertaker if you saw the footage. Leave those comments below, and we'll actually dedicate a portion of the show to reading you all's comments, what you all's take on what you thought about the dead man from this past weekend. But join us for that. We'll go in depth about that. We'll also go more in depth about Donald Trump's induction into the Hall of Fame. We'll also go in depth about CM Punk. What could the possible end game be for him to get back up on that path of redemption, as it looks like this could possibly be another month where CM Punk is going to get buried. We hear you all talking about it. We'll definitely address all of that in the very latest and wrestling related news. Check it out. It's the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show. You'll be able to catch it at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern. Talk of wrestling may end right here, but do check us out at our website at infinityoneproductions.com, where we cover so much more than wrestling. And for news you can use, like us on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's going to do it. Check out all our episodes in the archive section on iTunes, Zune Marketplaces, and Stitcher. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. That's going to do it. Tell me and Diamond K here from y'all this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the RCWR show, Wrestling Report Edition. This is the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, wishing you all to be safe and be kind to one another, folks. See you later, everybody. Take care.